Welcome back, everyone. As we know, Brazil is in a very bad situation right now because they won 5 of the past 11 games in this year, and in the World Cup qualifying stage, they are actually placed fourth behind Colombia, Uruguay, and Argentina, if I'm not afraid, and actually really close to losing to teams like Ecuador, Paraguay, and they have some embarrassing losses in the past games. And something wrong is with Brazil. They've not been playing at the level they should be playing. And Brazil's president, Lula da Silva, I don't know if you saw the news or not, but he's actually proposed to the federation. I was going to propose, I'm not sure which one yet. He's actually going to propose to the federation that now they don't call up players who play in Brazil. So like Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo, all the players that are playing in Europe and Saudi Arabia and whatsoever, should not be called up to the national team, and only players who play in Brazil who play in Brazil should be called up to make national team. Now, obviously, that is a very dumb idea. That's never going to work out. But me as a football fan, I kind of want to see that because it's entertainment. I want to see how good a team for Brazilian players who only play in Brazil will do in the international level, because that'd be very entertainment. So, I mean, as a football fan, I'd love to see that. In terms of for the better of the Brazilian national team, I would not want to do that. Because that's only going to worsen the situation and lose a lot more games. Brazil obviously has a lot of problems, so starting with the first one is their managerial situation. Tito was their manager for 6 years, for 2016-2022, and at the end of 2022 it was sacked or just left Brazil. And since then, for this 1.5 year period they've been on, they've had 3 managers. The first one was Ramon Menezes, who was a caretaker manager, and he was there for 3 games, not much. Then came Fernando Diniz, what at the time of they hired him, he was actually doing a very good job with Fluminense. I think he took him to the Libertadores final or something like that, or I don't know, he was doing very well at Fluminense. I think he got hired as more an interim manager, and he did not do well. He had 6 games and he lost half of those games, and he did not do well overall. Then in the start of 2024, came Rival Junior, Brazilian manager, was actually quite old, and that since the main things were before Brazil, it was with São Paulo and Flamengo, and he has coached 11 games, including Copa America, and he has only won 5 of those 11 games, so really bad streak of results been going on. And in Copa America, he actually got knocked out in the quarterfinals against Uruguay, not afraid on penalties, and just the Copa America overall, they just did not play well, and it's very clear that the manager is not good enough for Brazil. There was a time where Ancelotti was rumored to be the Brazil manager. I think this summer he leave Real Madrid to go to Brazil. Obviously, that did not happen, so they kind of stuck with Dorival Junior. In terms of managers available, also a very sticky situation because Brazil need a new manager. It's obviously need a new manager, but the options just aren't there. And I don't know. This is a very sticky situation. I don't know what if they're gonna stick with Dorival Junior. They're gonna throw us in the process, because he hasn't had a lot of time to kind of construct this team yet, or if they're going to sack him and they're going to try to look over a new manager. I don't know, time will tell. I don't think their main problem kind of resides with the managers, it kind of resides with the squad they have. Obviously, looking at the individual talent they have on the squad, looking at player by player, they have a lot of individual qualities. All the players they have on the team are very talented. You have Alisson, Ederson, Marquinhos, Gabriel, Vinicius Junior, Rony Guimarães, Paquetá, Rodrigo. They have a very talented group of players, but the thing about this group of players is that they're missing a lot of player profiles on the team that are needed to make this team play. So they have a lot of individual talent, but as a team, they cannot coexist as they are now, because as a team they're not playing well, they don't really coexist perfectly in a system. And I'm gonna go through every single part of the team to kind of explain to you more in depth about this. In terms of goalkeeper, they are perfect. They have Alisson, Ederson, two best goalkeepers in the world. I don't think they need to do anything to fix that. Now in defense is where defense is kind of more about the quality all, because I mean, just looking at the past teams that we know Brazil had, like in the early 2000s or in the past century, the Brazil teams were much better than this one. And like in terms of defense, primarily fullbacks, because the Brazilian fullbacks are just really bad right now. Their best fullback is Danilo from Juventus, and Brazil's a team that is known for having a lot of quality fullbacks. They have Dani Alves, Marcelo, Cafu, Roberto Carlos, and now they just are really poor on the fullback department. It's just, it doesn't get the same vibes as it once gave, and there is a very big quality gap in between these kind of generations. And defense, this kind of problem with quality of fullbacks is very evident, especially in the games. The fullbacks just don't give much on the pitch on both sides of the ball. Defensively, they are a big red flag, and offensively, they don't contribute as much in the attack, in the build-up, in the change creation, and the final third. But the fullbacks are a very, very big hole that Brazil needs to improve. And the midfield is kind of where the thing about the player profiles becomes more evident, because in the midfield they have very good players. They have Bruno Guimarães, Lucas Paquetá, André, João Gomes, all Premier League players, and they all have a lot of quality. They are great players. So the thing is, these are all good players at the same thing. They are very good players at having the ball at their feet, at maybe getting the build up. They're not really that good in terms of creating in the final third, but they are very good in the build up stage. They can retain the ball, keep possession of the ball, and help Brazil dominate the games with the ball. But they are missing again that player profile of creating opportunities in the final third, of a player that might get a bit more up the pitch and do something in the final third. And they also, that's mainly the biggest hole they have. They're missing a player who's a number 6 who can defensively offer a lot, because the midfielders they have don't offer a lot defensively. And the perfect example is Fabinho and Fernandinho. Those two midfielders at the time when they were at their prime, they were the best defensive midfielders you could have gotten, because those are defensive midfielders. They're number 6 who can have the ball at that fits and can still cover the ground a lot and win duels. That's the perfect number 6 that all the teams are looking for nowadays, and Brazil just doesn't have anyone who can offer as much defensively as Fabinho or Fernandinho once did. They don't have midfielders who can offer defensively a lot on the pitch. They only have players who can, on the ball, are great, but defensively not that good, and it becomes easy for other teams to bypass their midfield, and just the whole section of the pitch becomes very fragile defensively, and that's why Brazil defensively can have a tough time against opponents who are better than them, or who are similar or slightly lower level than them. In the attack, this is more obvious, because they have a lot of great talent offensively. That Vini Jr., Rafinha, Martinelli, Savio, and Rodrigo, all of these are great wingers. But they are wingers who are great at what they do. But the things that they do are very similar in between to each other. They are very fast wingers who are very good at dribbling. Rafinha, fast and dribbler, Martinelli, fast and dribbler, Vini Jr. too, Savio too. These are all very similar player profiles, and when you put them all in the same attack, it becomes a very one-dimensional attack, which is something you don't want to have in a team, because then it becomes very easy for you to predict what you're going to do, because they're only going to create opportunities by dribbling, and oftentimes it works, but when a team is more well prepared defensively, it's going to offer a lot of struggling in the that attacking phase. In Copa America, you saw that. You could see. I'm gonna see the stats here in a bit. In Copa America, they did not get to create a lot of opportunities, because again, they have a very similar player profile, and they don't have like a winger who can create opportunities by his passing. They don't have like a very creative in open play guy who can pick passes really well, and they also don't have a striker who can finish opportunities, who can score a lot of goals, who can score goals out of nowhere, of no space. They don't have that. This is why, in terms of big chances missed, and in terms of actual performance, Brazil is one of the worst teams in that stage. So Brazil doesn't have a lot of player profiles that could give another thing to what they have in attack. They are missing players who can do things differently than the options they have right now. I mean, you can say, oh, but like, they can call up these guys, but the players that fit those player profiles that they've been missing, they are not good enough to kind of make this team, or just are not good enough to be put on the pitch to play with these guys. So looking at stats, you can see these are the Copa America stats from this summer, and you can see the stats actually back me up. I mean, air possession, you see Brazil has a lot of possession because their team is very good at keeping the ball in between them, and that's their specialty. They know how to pass the ball in their midfield. But again, expected goals. Where are the expected goals? They're only in 5th with 6.3. And if you compare this to other teams, and I know they probably have gotten a little bit further of the competition, but still, 6.3 expected goals is very bad. And I mean, you go look at big opportunities, they're again in 8th with only 7. So you can see that offensively they struggle a lot in creating opportunities, in getting the ball to get some very good shots. Again, accurate passes, they are still very good in that department. And I mean, it just kind of goes back to, again, as I said, offensively they need another player profile in order to get the best of their players offensively, in order to get their team playing well offensively. Because right now they don't have a good offensive system. and going and actually considered, you can see that the Brazil defense is actually quite nice because they're actually the third best defense in the competition. And I think like USA and Mexico did not go as further as them in the competition. So defensively didn't have a problem. It's really more about the attacking problems and the attacking situation that they kind of have to deal with. Now going back to the whole thing about calling players from Brazil, obviously I said that would be an idea because if you're not getting the best out of these players who are very highly talented and are playing always at the highest level, you're not gonna get good results with players who are playing in Brazil. I mean, no disrespect to the Brazilian league, but they're just not playing at the same level that maybe the Premier League or also the teams, also leagues are playing because they're just not good enough. In terms of for Brazil themselves and for the best of the national team, I think doing this would be a massive mistake. I don't think that would be a good enough team. But one thing I do agree with is kind of trust more in the players that are in Brazil. No, again, as I said, the striker, the top scorer in Brazil around this year, Luis Pedro, who plays for Flamengo, is above average finisher in the past 2 seasons. I've been doing really well this season. He's like 11 goals in the Brazil round, and he has been called up to Brazil national team to Brazil in the past year. So I mean, if you need a guy like him as a striker who can score goals, and you have like an opportunity to call him up and give him like some opportunities, I think at that point you should trust some more players from Brazil to see if they could kind of cover these player profiles that you're lacking in this team and see if they could fix some of these holes you have in your team, because it's definitely obvious that the players who are calling up just cannot do that, and you don't have a lot of players in Europe who are from Brazil and can cover these holes. So I would say you should probably actually trust more the Brazilian league. You should try to call up more Brazilian players from Brazil and see how they play. If they don't, well, I mean, you don't really lose much because you're still not gonna play well with or without them. So, I mean, it's a very tricky situation. I think Brazil definitely has a lot to fix, definitely has a lot to solve around their team. They get a new manager, I think that's kind of the step one, and then try to figure out what the problem is with the squad and try to see the best solution for the problem they have right now.